Okay, we're back for chapter 24, which starts the third book, which is titled The Tale of Miggery Sow. I think when I was reading last, I said Miggery Sow by accident. S-O-W, but in this case, her last name is like sow, like a pig. Chapter 24, A Handful of Cigarettes, a Red Tablecloth, and a Hen. Again, reader, we must go backward before we can go forward. With that said, here begins a short history of the life and times of Miggery Sow, a girl born into the world many years before the mouse Despereaux and the rat Rescuro, a girl born far from the castle, a girl named for her father's favorite prize-winning pig. Miggery Sow was 6 years old when her mother, holding on to Mig's hand and staring directly into Mig's eyes, died. "Ma," said Mig, "Ma, couldn't you stay here with me?" "Oh," said her mother, "who is that? Who is that holding my hand?" "It's me, Ma, Miggery Sow." "Ah, child, let me go." "But I want you to stay here," said Mig, wiping first at her runny nose and then at her runny eyes. "You want," said her mother. "Yes," said Mig, "I want." "Ah, child, and what does it matter what you are wanting?" said her mother. She squeezed Mig's hand once, twice, and then she died, leaving Mig alone with her father, who, on a market day in spring, soon after his wife's death, sold his daughter into service for a handful of cigarettes, a red tablecloth, and a hen. "Papa," said Mig, when her father was walking away from her with the hen in his arms, a cigarette in his mouth, and the red tablecloth draped across his shoulders like a cape. "Go on, Mig," he said. "You belong to that man now." "But I don't want to, Papa. I want to go with you." She took hold of the red tablecloth and tugged on it. "Lord, child," her father said, "and who is asking you what you want? Go on now." He untangled her fingers from the cloth and turned her in the direction of the man who had bought her. Mig watched her father walk away, the red tablecloth billowing out behind him. He left his daughter, and reader, as you already know, he did not look back, not even once. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine your father selling you for a tablecloth, a hen, and a handful of cigarettes? Close your eyes, please. Consider it for just a moment. Done? I hope that the hair on the back of your neck stood up as you thought of Mig's fate and how it would be if it were your own. Poor Mig, what will become of her? You must, frightened though you may be, read on for yourself. Reader, it is your duty. Chapter 25, A Vicious Circle. Miggery Sow called the man who purchased her uncle, as he said she must do, and also, as he said she must, and also as Mig tended Uncle's sheep and cooked Uncle's food and scrubbed Uncle's kettle, she did all this without a word of thanks or praise from the man, Uncle. Another unfortunate fact of life with Uncle was that he very much liked giving Mig what he referred to as a good clout to the ear. In fairness to Uncle, it must be reported that he did not always inquire whether or not Mig was interested in receiving the clout. Their daily exchanges went something like this. Uncle: "I thought I told you to clean the kettle." Mig: "I cleaned it, Uncle. I cleaned it good." Uncle: "Ah, it's filthy. You'll have to be punished, won't you?" Mig: "Gore, Uncle. I cleaned the kettle." Uncle: "Are you saying I'm a liar, girl?" Mig: "No, Uncle." Uncle: "Do you want a good clout to the ear, then?" Mig: "No, thank you, Uncle, I don't." Alas, Uncle seemed to be as entirely unconcerned with what Mig wanted as her mother and father had been. The discussed clout to the ear was always delivered. Delivered, I am afraid, with a great deal of enthusiasm on Uncle's part, and received with absolutely no enthusiasm at all on the part of Mig. These clouts were alarmingly frequent, and Uncle was scrupulously fair in paying attention to both the right and left side of Miggery Sow. So it was that after a time the young Mig's ears came to resemble not so much ears as pieces of cauliflower stuck to either side of her head. So Uncle would knock her on the ear when he was upset with her. So much so that her ears did not look like ears anymore. And they became about as useful to her as pieces of cauliflower. That is to say, that they all but ceased their functioning as ears. Words for Mig lost their sharp edges, and then they lost their edges altogether and became blurry, blankety things that she had a great deal of trouble making any sense out of at all. The less Mig heard, the less she understood. The less she understood, the more things she did wrong. And the more things she did wrong, the more clouts to the ear she received, and the less she heard. This is what is known as a vicious circle, and the Miggery Sow was right in the center of it. Which is not, reader, where anybody would want to be. But then, as you know, what Miggery Sow wanted had never been of much concern to anyone. We'll continue next time with chapter 26, Royalty.